Okay, we good?
Yeah, we're all good. Brilliant.
Okay, firstly, Mark, thank you very much for agreeing to have a chat with us from the Fratton Faithful and from PompeyNewsNow. We're extremely grateful for your time.
Brilliant.
On a match day.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I guess we'll open with a nice broad one on your overall thoughts for the season, how it's compared to where you thought we'd be when, start of the season.
I think at the start of the season, the plan was always to improve on the year before. That's sort of our base camp in regards of where we want to go with it for the season. So we've done that. We've achieved that. I think privately, although I never come out publicly and said it, the playoffs were always really, what we were looking for this season. I know really, as the course of the season's gone on, in regards of, we had the great checker trade run, we had some great moments in the FA Cup, some of the away days, even Burton, on Friday was amazing. So I've got some fantastic memories of the season, and win our next 4 games, we get promoted automatically. So I think as a whole, going into it, the last 2 weeks now, we're in a fantastic position. Worst ways, we've got the playoffs to look forward to, if you can call that looking forward to. But so there's still lot to play for. Won another trophy that the club had never won before. Great day out at Wembley, some amazing away days that will stick with me forever in my memory. So yeah, I think overall it's been a great season, and still plenty to play for.
Another trip to Wembley potentially.
Potentially, yeah. No, I think that one will be a little bit more nervy.
Yeah. Sure. Obviously, the squad have been fantastic this season so far. I want to talk about who you think maybe is a bit of a surprise package. Who's come along well this season?
Ooh. I'd like to say Ben Close, because he had some pretty big shoes to fill. When Ben Thompson left, and it took a while for him to grow into those shoes. But I think as the season's gone on, he's just got stronger and stronger. He's got the goals in his game, and for me, I'm a little bit proud because I first saw him when he was 14, 15 in the academy, and I immediately, because of my Spanish sort of background, I immediately called him a name. I won't say what it is, but he sort of picked up a tag of a Spanish player, and he does remind me of him. Ben's one of those players you could drop into any Spanish team, I think, at most levels, and he would just seamlessly fit in because he is that Spanish type player, and he's added, as I say, the goals have come into his game now. So I think he has been a surprise package, but I think Craig McGivelry as well. I mean, Craig was brought in. There was no real expectations for Craig, was there, this season? We didn't pay a fee for him. He wasn't, I hope he doesn't mind me saying, he wasn't one of our big earners. He was there to compete with Luke, and I just think he's grown from strength to strength this season, and it's rare, especially at Portsmouth, seem to have a little bit of a fixation with goalkeepers, even when I think they're good. But don't really get a lot of stick, does he? He just carries on week after week. He's solid, makes the saves that he should make, and every now and again pulls out a worldie that wins us a game. So I think he's been a surprise package as well.
That's interesting. You said Ben Close. I spoke to Christian Burgess a couple of years ago, and he's the player he highlighted to break into the first team.
He's getting stronger as well, and he uses his body well to get the ball in front of him and sort of shields it well. So you don't have to be a brute of a man to do that. You've just got to be clever. I mean, Messi's not a brute of a man, but he's very strong on the ball. It's tough to get off, and I think Ben's adding that into his game.
I think that's one thing we've noticed in terms of when the club was struggling financially and playing a lot of 16, 17 year olds, especially when we dropped down to League 2. It was that physicality that we noticed was missing. It was not men against boys, but sometimes it did come across that way purely because of the physicality side of it.
I think that's even more apt when you drop into like League 2 and few teams in League 1 as well, that the physicality of it, maybe not so much the champ, because I think there's a few players that probably would be more adaptable to the Championship.
That free-flowing style of
exactly,
football.
You've got to be quick, you've got to be intelligent on the ball, you've got to have that athleticism to get around, but it is a different skill set going from League 1 and League 2 into the Championship.
Absolutely, sure. You touched on the academy there and the youth system. Obviously we've seen quite a lot of success coming through the Pompey youth system, so players like Jack Waterman and Ben Close you've touched on, and someone like Connor Chaplin, who we're obviously hoping today we don't see too much of him.
That's going to happen. So if I keep saying enough, maybe it won't. But
we said that last week against Sunderland. It was we called him to score the winner in the middle of their first half, and it happened. There's just some inevitability about it. But what do you think it is about the youth system here? So it is something that a lot of fans won't know the details of, I suppose, from the outside.
I think it's a combination, really. I think Mark Kelly is the academy manager. Has done a great job, and we've had that continuity. Andy left, and and he'd been there for years, and then Mark came in. So I think it's a combination of having that stability, and believe it or not, Portsmouth as a city, being a tough working class city, right? You wouldn't call it like an inner city ghetto area like maybe some areas of London where they just mass produce the kids because they've got that hunger, but it's not far off. It is tough, working class. You've got to work hard to achieve any sort of success if you want to achieve success from Portsmouth. And I think we have got a great catchment area where people from Pompey want to play for Pompey as well. So I think they've got that hunger, they've got that desire. They're out playing whenever they get the moment. It's not like a cricketing city, is it? Or exactly, or even a rugby. It's a proper footballing city. Loves the club, and I think that. So the combination of that and the staff that we've got there, and some great additions, including Sean O'Driscoll's just come in, and we've got Liam Daish working with Mark in the under-18. So we've got a real good skill set in the academy, and we have done. I mean, behind the scenes, John Slater does an amazing job as well. So I think there's a combination of the city, Portsmouth being what it is as a city, aligned with the stability that we've had there, and the quality of the staff has continued to produce this, ever growing band of youngsters that come through and break through into our first team.
Nice. Obviously, the aim of the season, really now is to get promoted. We've got 4 games left, and do you perceive it might be difficult to have to rebuild the team for League One? So if we end up not getting promoted, because you must have in the back of your mind. Really.
I actually think. Controversial. I think it's going to be more difficult for us next year in League One than it would the Championship, because League One wise, if you look at the players that we've already signed, we've already signed up 20 plus players. Now, you could argue, and I would argue strongly, that is still very positive because everyone knows everyone. You're going to have players like Lee Brown, you're going to have Ben Close and Brett Pittman and Ollie Hawkins and Ronan Curtis and Jamal Lowe and Matt Clark.
Of the team,
so if we've come close this year, given them another year of development with a couple of additions here or there, then probably we're going to go again and be challenging at the top. But the bar is going to be so high. My worry is that next year it'll be like, in the eyes of fans, promotion or bust type thing. It'll be, we've got to get promotion this year or it's been a massive failure. So the expectation levels will be through the roof in League One. Rightly so, we are Portsmouth, 3rd year under Kenny Jackett, decent budget, had that stability. So, and Kenny will be the first, along with myself, to put that pressure on ourselves. So there will be a big expectation. If we go to the Championship, through the way that our COO stroke FD Tony Brown has structured all of the deals, we will have quite a bit of financial flexibility in the Championship without Michael having to put huge sums into it. We'll be going up, obviously the majority of the squad will stay as it is, but we'll have enough money to go and get maybe 3 to 5 big hitters to supplement our existing squad. And the expectation levels will be relatively low. So I think
you've got that money coming in, haven't you, from the Championship?
So you get exactly. So you get that extra money that can effectively be put into the player budget. League One, everything stays the same, and as I say, Kenny's tied up a lot of the budget already. In my opinion, rightly so, by the signings we've made. I think you'd argue the only first teamer that hasn't signed is Nathan Thompson. Everyone else is as is, and that's not a bad thing because by default we've nearly gone close to promotion this year, so why would you want to rip it up?
Absolutely.
If everyone stays the same and you make 1 or 2, 3 additions, great, you get a little bit stronger and you go again next season. But to get to the Championship, which is obviously the aim, and I've seen people out there saying, we don't want to get to the champ, what a load of rubbish, because I think it'll actually be better for us in the Championship. And if you look at Millwall as an example, in their first year, they nearly win again, and they didn't have a huge budget, but they had that base of a team they brought through, made 1 or 2 additions, and in their first year nearly achieved the playoffs into the Premiership. Now they're struggling again this year because after that first year people find you out, you lose some of your better players to other teams, and then you're back in the struggling mode. But for looking just one season in advance, I think it will be, from an expectation point of view, a lot easier in the Championship than it will be in League One.
You touched on the running of the club there with the Eisners. You've been here through the PST times and
through the admin, through the PST, through to my
exactly. What are the differences that you've noted between the PST running and the Eisners coming in?
Honestly, very little. I've said it so many times before that I was very lucky in that although we were fan owned, I was given a huge amount of protection by the board under PST stroke president's community ownership. There were always a lot of fan owned clubs bend to the will of social media platforms. Sack the manager, he's useless. Then you get calls from the directors, we've got to sack the manager. I never had any of that, genuinely. I was always very well protected by the board. Now under Michael, pretty much the same, you know, just work within parameters of a budget, and as long as I work within those parameters, I'm pretty much given free rein along with my management team, you know, of Tony Brown, Anna Mitchell and others, Maurice Edmund, Hazel. You know, we work within our own budgetary world, we support each other, we work together, so very, very little has changed.
And that's great to hear from the fans.
It's great, it's great, we've got a lot of autonomy. Every now and again someone will come up on Twitter or Facebook or wherever, and Eric will give me a call and say, what do you think of this? And he'll look for a reason why we made a certain decision. But genuinely in the 2 years now, I've never had him try to reverse a decision that the executive board here at the club, the people that know the club, have said, look, we really think this is the right way to go. They never go the other way.
And Eric's been fantastic engaging with the likes of us guys on Twitter, etc.
Eric's amazing. It's difficult because you got your heart, which is as a fan, and your head, which is as a business, and sometimes they don't always marry up, you know. But that's why you've just got to remain sensible. I mean, even in January, there was crazy people out there holding polls about sacking Kenny Jackett. You can't. I mean, who do you think you're going to get better than Kenny Jackett at League One level?
That's one of the dangers of social media being on there as an owner as well, is knowing that the 4 ridiculous comments you get to every tweet about sacking Kenny Jackett or getting out of the club, we want to be a fan owned again, blah blah blah. That is very much the minority, but it's putting yourself out there is that risk as an owner. I think they've done so well, and they accept that you get a very vocal minority.
I mean, if you look at our fan base, people that actually say, I support Portsmouth Football Club, people in the city, people outside of the island, then people internationally, I would hazard a guess we're at about 200,000. You look at, I would. Do you get what I'm saying?
You look at the open bus tour and stuff in the FA Cup, everyone turned out for that. I know that's a glory moment as such, but you can see there's huge support.
You get 19,000 at home to Morecambe in League Two.
So my point is, you have to be careful that you don't pander to maybe 50 or 100 people that are very vocal on any social media platform. You have to think there's such a silent majority that are really happy with how things are going, want to support their club through thick and thin, want to remain loyal to a manager, to an owner, to a chief exec, and then you start making decisions based on a very small minority of like radicals in inverted commas. So you've got to be careful of that. But that's where, remember, Michael was at Disney. I think, not sure there was social media when Michael was there, but he's very adept throughout his career to taking on new technologies, and he knows that, you know. And at Disney, he tells me
ESPN as well, I believe.
ESPN, but he tells me at Disney that, you know, on a Monday morning, he's in those days it was what we call snail mail. It was just like the mailbox was full up, you know, with people. Why have you upped the price of this? You know. Not happy with this. Why did I wait 3 hours to get on a ride? Why was I waiting an hour to go into the toilets? So you just have to, you know, he's come from that environment.
Sort of customer focus.
Exactly, and high expectation levels from customers. And I know fans don't like to be called customers, and I'd never call them customers because they're fans. They love the club.
I can say that as a fan.
Yeah, you can say that as a fan. Yeah.
In terms of a couple of the contract things that have been coming out recently, obviously. Ben Close has put a pen to paper on a new deal. Was that a reasonably recent and quick developing thing because of his massive increase in performances this year, or was that in the books anyway?
What we tend to do is when you're getting a younger player like Ben or a Ronan or a Jamal that's coming out of non-league, it's difficult. When you bring in a Tom Naylor who's been around, he's got the experience, he's established, he knows what he's on. Financially, we knew what he was in at Burton, he knew what he was on his club before. Lee Brown the same, these type of players, Nathan Thompson, their wage is their wage. It's not a gamble for them. I've been offered this to stay at my existing club, I can get this from this club, do you want to pay this wage? Now when you're looking at players coming through wanting to prove themselves, to a degree the advantage is with Portsmouth Football Club because they're not going to go elsewhere and get a crazy good deal. So what we tend to do is incentivise those type of players by game. So their money goes up on 10 or 20 game appearances. So we'd say, look, you've got to earn it. You can't be on the same money as Tom Naylor. You
Yeah.
know, Tom Naylor's an experienced pro, he's played in the Champ, he was on this money, so you can't come in and be on Tom Naylor's money. So you start relatively low, like academy players or the players that have come in from non-league or other leagues, you know, like the Irish League. And we basically say 10 games, 20 games, you 30 games, 40 games, up to a point. And then when you hit that point, there's an obligation from both parties to sit down and renegotiate a new deal.
Oh, okay.
Now, it doesn't say what it has to be. There's no onus on the club or the player to accept it, but it just says at that point we appreciate you've hit an important milestone.
It's like a professional development. As such.
Exactly. We appreciate you've hit 40 games. Now you're a serious player for Portsmouth Football Club. You need to sit down and negotiate a new deal. So that is where it evolved with Ben Close.
We'll just do a couple more that we've been sent in from members of our fan group. If that's okay, Mark. Can we go with the Fratton one?
Development.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. So there's been a bit of talk about the Milton End being developed and the possibility of playing a away game as the first match of the season. Is that something you consider?
We always, with the work being done, you can request it, but there's no guarantee.
Yeah.
Given with what's going on with the pitch this year, and not just the pitch, potential work like even Milton End related, but there could be other works going on, health and safety. There is a chance we will put that request in.
I mean, I think the fans are just really excited. I think the moving of the floodlights and stuff, they sort of see it as a symbolic moment,
Something's
possibly.
happening.
Yeah.
There's scaffolding up, there's stuff happening, it's visual.
I mean,
now.
you've seen the scaffolding at the back. I mean, the amount of work in that. And it does frustrate me. When's the work going to start? And if you looked at the back of the South Stand, I mean, it's not a cheap job.
Yeah.
It's like a
No, I
huge
understand.
job.
I work in design and build commercially, so I know how much work goes into the project.
And it's so many moving parts in regards to the planning, in regards to the construction, in regards to the scaffolders, and so many, and the residents, and get planning permission and building control. You know, Eric. Being in
for
this,
sure.
it's so tough. Fans don't understand that a lot of the times. Why would they? They're not in that business. And it has been an eye-opener to me. I'm not from a construction background, but just the amount of work that goes in, is crazy. But to answer your question, it is something we would definitely look at. Yeah.
Great.
I don't do Heather's.
No?
Heather's one?
Oh yes, one of the writers at PompeyNewsNow, Heather, she was looking into the possibility of having a stadium tour for people with anxiety or sort of like mental health issues, so just get them used to being in the ground or something. Would that be something you might be able to help facilitate?
Of course, that's just not an issue whatsoever. Just let me know and we'll sort
I just promised her I'd ask. Yeah.
That's 100. You know what we're like as a club. If there's something we can do, we'll do it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Final question. We're here pre-Coventry. You've mentioned you think there might be some inevitability about
Connor scoring.
Yeah.
And I'll keep saying it. Connor's going to score today.
What are your predictions for the afternoon? Just so when this is aired after the game.
Predictions always difficult.
Yeah.
I think the momentum of the crowd and everything. Normally I come to the ground and there's a little bit of nervousness around, and I think that feeds through sometimes onto the pitch.
Yeah.
So after 10 minutes, we're trying to get a flow going. The crowd are flat, misplaced pass, and there's a bit of a groan. Rochdale was different. First game, checker trade, post the checker trade week. I always get in here early, but there was a lot more fans around the normal. The sun was shining, people were smiling. And I could almost tell instinctively that we were going to win. It just felt like the pressure was off. So I think a lot of it will be how if we get frustrated early, don't want to go a goal down, the nerves will really kick in. And I think because we've twisted it now back into our own hands, the pressure sort of comes back on us a little bit.
I think the crowd are really behind the team if they do go a goal down now. Ready to get
it's
that back.
So much better. Yeah, I feel that. I mean, even with Burton, I thought the crowd stayed with us magnificently in that second half. And we were really under the cosh. We couldn't get out at times. And the crowd, and I always say people underestimate the effect that the crowd has on the players. So I think if we get that Rochdale positivity, I think we'll win. I think we'll win anyway. I've got to be honest with you. I do think man for man we are a better team than Coventry, but who knows? A lot of talk about the referee.
What's your prediction?
I'm going for 2-1. I'm going for 2-1. Connor Chaplin scoring for them.
I'm going 3-1 with us going 3 up, and then the Pompey faithful not actually being too upset to see the consolation.
Probably applauding.
Yeah, that would be the nice one.
I'm with Mark 2-1 as well.
2-1.
Awesome.
All right,
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anytime.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks. Yeah.